The establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel. Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know. The latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today. I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked. Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Where would you like to go?
Just take me to the studio, please, mate. You know where you're going. I've got a show to do. Friday Night Feast on GB News, 7 p.m. And it's like nothing you've ever seen before. We take a different angle on the week's biggest news stories. The viewers and listeners set me some absolutely mad challenges to do. We tried to rehome a rescue dog. And yes, there's some other wacky stuff in there as well. I feel like I could take on the world. Well, that's that. Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christie's, every Friday, 7 till 9 p.m. on GB News. Be there.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Wednesday evening's headliners with me, Simon Evans. Very shortly, we will be taking a look at Thursday morning's newspapers. My comedy guests and I. But in the meantime, here is Olivia with the news headlines.
Thank you. Our latest headlines tonight. Jeremy Hunt has thrown his weight behind former Chancellor Rishi Sunak for the next Prime Minister, saying he has formidable ability. It's after the former Health Secretary and Chancellor Nadhim Zahawi were knocked out of the race to replace Boris Johnson. The leadership candidates have been whittled down from 8 to 6. Mr Sunak and Trade Minister Penny Mordaunt won the most votes in the first ballot of Tory MPs. The others still in the running are Tom Tugendhat, Liz Truss, Suella Braverman and Kemi Badenoch. Sir Graham Brady announced the results of the vote earlier this evening.
Under the rules that we agreed for this ballot, 2 candidates will be eliminated, Jeremy Hunt and Nadhim Zahawi. The others are all able to go forward to the second ballot, which takes place tomorrow.
Another train strike is taking place 2 weeks from today. Rail operators and Network Rail workers have voted to walk out on July the 27th in an ongoing dispute over pay, jobs and conditions. The RMT union rejected an offer made by Network Rail bosses, saying it represents a real-term pay cut for its members. More than 200,000 people who died during the pandemic have COVID recorded on their death certificate. The grim milestone was reached a few weeks ago amid a surge of cases in the UK. The Office for National Statistics says the highly transmissible Omicron subvariant BA2 now accounts for most of the new cases. About 2.7 million people are thought to be infected currently. A watchdog says migrants crossing the Channel are arriving in the UK soaking wet and with petrol burns. The Chief Inspector of Prisons says he's concerned about the haphazard arrangements in place for those arriving. It follows figures obtained by GBNews, which show more than 14,000 migrants have come to Britain in small boats so far this year. 4 men have been arrested in the UK in a national crime agency operation targeting people smugglers. Ambulance services are facing the sort of pressures normally seen in winter as the UK grapples with an extreme heatwave. The government says it's working to make sure the NHS has the capacity and resilience it needs. An amber heat warning's been issued across parts of England and Wales from Sunday onwards. The Met Office says the hot weather is a potential danger to everyone, not just those who are most vulnerable, and it's advising people to be careful. TV, online and DAB+ radio. This is GB News. Now it's back to headliners.
and welcome to Headliners. I'm Simon Evans. Joining me tonight to preview tomorrow morning's newspapers, Headliners veteran Josh Howie, and making only his second appearance, it's Kerry Marks.
Hello.
Hello. Hello to both of you.
Nice to be back.
I haven't seen you on the circuit for a long... Well, either of us. I don't know if we're still on the circuit, but...
I'm still on the circuit,
you're still
yes.
out there,
in the trenches, working out and doing what I can to keep Britain happy.
Deconstructing magic, deconstructing religion, deconstructing all the delusions that make people's lives bearable.
That was probably a lot of my angle at one point, but no, at the
you
moment...
moved on from that now?
Where I'm at right now, it's just very silly.
Talks about his willy a lot.
I do not.
And your polyps.
Spreading these rumours around.
And now, Josh, we're going to have to address it because you've lost an extraordinary amount of weight and people will be concerned you've got some sort of wasting disease. It's intentional, it's deliberate.
It's intentional. I have lost a stone in 3 weeks. I am trying to lose weight for the beach because my kids are just fat-shaming me. And,
are you going to publish a book about it? Are you going to create
I have no audience
you could
to
become
buy
an
that
influencer. Totally would buy it. There are a lot of middle-aged men out there, believe me. Who
OK, here's the diet.
I'll buy it.
Stop eating.
Oh,
That is the diet.
I was hoping that was not what it was going to be. Anything else.
Right, gentlemen, let's crack on. We've got some front pages to take a look at. First and foremost is the Daily Mail, who have "Unite Now or We Lose. Truss tells Tory right." But there's a picture of Penny Mordaunt there, who is currently the favourite, it seems, if you add up all the minutiae. Mordaunt also dominating the front page of the Daily Telegraph, with Mordaunt seizes the momentum after first Tory ballot. There's a warning over water consumption there, as well as the Met Office forecasts an extreme heat. The Independent also has Penny Mordaunt. She surges into top 2 in leadership race. And they have "Toxic Johnson should be long gone" from Angela Rayner, who is not happy that he is lingering. The Guardian have "Pressure on Truss." That's an unwelcome image, isn't it? Pressure on Truss as Tory rivals steal March in leadership battle. And ex-Radio 1 DJ accused of sex with 14-year-old. We will be taking a look at that. Also, rage and relief as President flees Sri Lanka. Financial Times also have Penny Mordaunt. Unusual to see them in harmony with the rest of the newspapers, but their big story is that US inflation piles pressure on Fed for a big rate increase. And also, Trafigura sells stake in Putin-backed oil project to Hong Kong trading outfit. Not sure we'll be covering that one. The Daily Mirror have a picture of Mo Farah there and talking about his relief as he is able to stay in the UK despite having been initially trafficked here. It would be a bit harsh to send him off to Rwanda, wouldn't it? After everything he's achieved, we'll keep the medals. And cost of living crisis. What cost of living crisis? The Daily Mirror ridiculing the Tory leadership crisis and its apparent, or rather, the cost of living crisis and their ability to ignore it. The Daily Express has "It's hotting up." Mordaunt surges in race for number 10, but also, of course, a pun on the heat wave. And finally, the Daily Star with a story I do hope we get onto at the end of the night. 2 pints of lager and a golden retriever, please, landlord. Apparently, a decent-sized hound is the best way to pick up a new partner in the pub. Those are the headlines. Those are the front pages. Let's have a look inside. So, our top story, of course, who is through to the next round of Political Strictly. This is the Express headline, Josh, but they've all gone for pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, so Nadeem Sawai, Jeremy Hunt, they're gone.
Yep.
They're out. And it seems like the momentum seems to be building behind Penny Mordaunt, behind Rishi Sunak. So that he actually got the most votes by far, I think. 88 votes compared to Penny, Mordaunt, who got 67.
Yeah.
There's still quite a few people in the race.
So the presumption is that of the people who voted, for instance, for Kemi Badenoch or for Liz Truss, they would go to Penny rather than to Rishi. Is that the...
I think that's the idea, but Kemi Badenoch got 40. But this thing here saying that it's like how Penny Mordaunt is surging ahead in this bombshell survey. But the survey I read, there was one in the Telegraph Day that put Kemi Badenoch wet like 33%, hugely of that. So it seems like a real shame. Personally, that's who I would back. Kemi Badenoch, she seems very impressive. She seems very forthright, honest. Penny Mordaunt, I think, is very dangerous, especially when it comes to women's rights. The stuff that she said in Parliament a couple of years ago, how trans women are women and that's their starting point. This is all about her proposing this self-IDing law.
That does seem to be her singular weakness, though. Generally speaking, across the board, I know this show is can get caught up in that sometimes. I'm not sure that is a major issue.
Well, it is because I think it is a major issue for a lot of voters, but also because she is very vehemently trying to fight against it because she could see it is making an impact on also on whether she can tell the truth or not. If she just said, because there's been a bunch of interviews that she's been doing today and all this stuff keeps on coming up. Now, if she just said, you know what, I got it a bit wrong a couple of years ago. There was a momentum behind this. I didn't know all of the issues, but I've seen into it more. Now I'm very much for protecting women's spaces.
Yeah.
I think people would just be like, yeah, fair enough.
Well, it would be interesting to conduct that experiment.
But she's basically saying, I had nothing to do with it. It wasn't me. It wasn't me who tried to take women out of the using women in the bill or any of that stuff. And that's the problem that I have with her.
What do you think? She has now said a woman is a woman, though, the other day, didn't she?
Congratulations.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember a long time ago reading an article suggesting that MPs, or rather that a Prime Minister should have to take an intelligence test. And so it started now. The first test is...
What is a woman?
The first test is what is a woman. In a few years' time, can you spell cat?
Yeah.
And this is where it's going. She also used to be a magician's assistant, apparently.
Did she?
She was, yes. So, and I'd rather warn everyone that before you do any jokes on that and say, I hope she disappears, I hope she flies, whatever. As an ex-magician myself, I can tell you that's what we had to put up with. You do close-up table magic, and every single table, there is always one man who will ask you to make his wife vanish. And you'd end up coming up with all the jokes and telling them that she will eventually vanish if you carry on with those jokes. But yeah,
what I like about Penny Mordaunt, though, is that she's glamorous and she has lovely hair. And I think we've earned that. I mean, I really do. I think we've earned that.
And you don't think Boris had lovely hair?
His hair was absolutely atrocious. I found the way he'd appeared on the stage a real letdown. I found that an international embarrassment, far more than anything to do with his honesty record or whatever. Anyway, it will all unfold, no doubt, over the weeks.
Well, quickly, because the second ballot is tomorrow, the third is on Monday, until it's whittled down to final. I mean, they're pretty ruthless in terms of how they get through it. It is a shame because, like I say, I think Kemi Badenoch is very impressive, and it feels like she's going to get sort of pushed out before she's really had the chance for this momentum to carry her forward. So
she's going to have a much more prestigious role in the next cabinet than she's had previously. That's a big resounding win for her, I would say. Next story. They were such a hit last time that the rail workers have agreed to strike again. Fantastic news.
They had to strike again. RMT members at train operators and train operators at Network Rail to stage industrial action in dispute over pay and conditions. When it says stage, it doesn't mean that they're going to put on a show, does it? It's not going to be like a musical or anything, because that would be great, and then we'd all pay attention. So that's going to be on the 27th of July, which, obviously doing this, I want to try and remain as impartial as possible, but I think what a great choice of date. I'm not working that day.
You're OK.
And last time I was.
What day of the week is it?
It's, I think it's a Wednesday. And frankly, that week you can do Monday to Wednesday. That's absolutely fine with me.
The comedian's friend, isn't it? The RMT strikers are all.
Well, not if you're going on holiday, because it's going to be like a lot more traffic on the road.
Is this what you got Beachbody for?
That is it. I'm ready to go to that campsite and show those other dads. This is my moment to shine. Stuck in the car.
I got to say, I thought they were always on strike. I mean, I travel up and down the country on trains, and there's so often trains not running. I know a woman who's married to a train driver, and she said that quite often...
Oh, you know a millionaire, do you?
She's very, very well off.
What was it that first attracted you to...
She said that often she ends up having sex with a rail replacement.
With the bus service. Very good.
It was a little joke I threw in there.
Sorry.
Very little. Well, the timing went out.
Sorry.
It could have worked. I'll save it for next time.
There'll be loads more trains.
This story, I'm afraid, no jokes permitted. The horrors and shame continue to emerge from Telford, Josh. This is from Thursday's Express.
Yeah, so more than 1,000 children in Telford sexually exploited over 30 years. This inquiry has found out it thrived in Telford. This is what they're saying, because of failures to investigate the offenders and to protect the children amid fears that probes into Asian men would inflame racial tensions.
Yeah.
Someone today put up a Twitter thread, and this stuff has sort of been drip over the last 10 years or so. This stuff's been coming out. I'm going to read it. I'm going to just read these places.
OK.
Telford, Newcastle, Rochdale, Rotherham, Oxford, Halifax, Keighley, Derby, Peterborough, Bristol, London, Huddersfield, Manchester, Oldham, Coventry, Middlesbrough, Burton-on-Trent, Bradford, Birmingham, Nottingham, Hull, Yeovil, Sheffield, Aylesbury, Glasgow, Blackpool, Bolton, Leicester, Ipswich, Carlisle, Brayfield, Accrington, Banbury, Skipton. This is not one or two places. Like, it's because I'm in, like, you know, zone 2 in London, I sort of think everything outside zone, it's all one or two places. No, this is systematic failure of councils, of police across the country. And also, I'm sorry, and I'm just going to get into this stuff here, this is a particular cultural group. I don't want it, it's nothing to do with race or anything like that. There's been a cultural failure here. Not all of the culture, but a subset of the culture here somehow failing to teach some of its young men that rape and sexual exploitation of children is wrong. And that, for me, along with the police failings, along with the council's failings, seems to be why we're not hearing about the failings of the parts of the community to address this. Because you look at the mugshots, and I'm sorry, and every single one there, I went through every single one, and they are men of Pakistani origin, not Indian origin, Pakistani and Somali, and mostly. And, yeah, a few white people. And, yes, white people also have done grooming gangs, and it's not like I'm saying, you know, but there is obvious... Let's not go and do a sort of what about this, what about that. In these instances, in these towns and cities, this is one core group of men, and I'm not seeing, and maybe that's just my ignorance, and I am not a pure person, and I am ignorant in many ways, but I am not seeing much to address cultural failings here. It's, you know, I'm sort of a bit, you know, and you know what, and I'm a coward, and I haven't talked about this before because there's just like those police who are afraid to, you know, report stuff or do their jobs, I've been a coward, and I feel like my cowardice...
It's interesting, just to interrupt you, but I think it is interesting, actually, that among all the other failings, the council failings, the police failings, and newspaper failings, arguably, and so on, and one or two people being enormously castigated for drawing attention to it, the comedy community says nothing about it as well.
Yeah.
And there are, I mean, we are stand-up comedians, and we are, you know, we some of us do topical material from time to time. This kind of stuff never gets touched. We're
meant to be truth tellers. Yeah. And the thing is, when these things aren't addressed, when these things are not talked about, and it's not about going out there and being racist, this is not racism, this is cultural issues here, then you know what does happen? The real racists will come into the cracks. You'll get the Tommy Robinsons, you'll get the EDL.
Well, that is what's happened, isn't it? I mean, it's become fodder for them because it was ignored. And the police had quite a simple choice. It was protect young people from violence, murder and sex crime, or not appear racist. I think they made the wrong decision there.
And also possibly not... I think they wouldn't... I mean, they were partly afraid of being racist, but I think they were also slightly concerned that a well-organised community, Pakistani community, you know, these men know how to create networks that will protect them.
Yes.
It's not just like there'll be like third-party people going, oh, you're racist. There will be an attempt there will be claims of Islamophobia, and those will be amplified, and those will be shared, and so on.
And this also means that because of their failure, they've made everyone talk about race far more than would have ever been necessary if they just got on with the job. So
they do invariably and inevitably, as other people have said, just ignore, you know, working class, poorly educated young girls who are just treated as if they're no better than they ought to be, as if they've sort of put it on themselves. That's what's really nauseating.
It is nauseating. And to top it all off, where is the culpability? Who has been, of the police, of the councils, who has been held to account? That's the...
Absolutely agree. Well, I think we've all aired some...
Let's tell some jokes.
Broad consensus on that. A bit of good old-fashioned argy-bargy in the Commons, Kerry, and hopefully something a little bit lighter to gladden the heart of any stand-up, in fact. Some hecklers being thrown out.
I think anything's lighter. The Scottish Nationalist MPs thrown out of the Commons after referendum protests. Sir Lindsay Hoyle, the Commons Speaker, tells Neil Hanvey and Kenny McCaskill to shut up and get out amid rowdy scenes. He didn't tell them to create rowdy scenes and shut up and get out during them, but that was during the rowdy scenes. After launching a protest to demand a second independent referendum ahead of Boris Johnson's appearance at Prime Minister's questions. The two MPs were thrown out.
Did you see it? Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it.
I saw it.
It?
It's very funny. It looked like something out of Last of the Summer Wine. I mean, he's fine, the speaker. He's quite decent, but his voice was quite squeaky. I think he's got a little bit of laryngitis. And he was getting quite flustered. There was a little bit of the supply teacher, but it was very rowdy. The camera did not cut to the members. I don't really know that.
Oh, really?
But
I will catch up and watch it. But it's a very emotional
But these
subject,
two guys,
isn't it?
they were elected as SNP members, but they have since were defected to, they call Alba, which is, what's his name? Salmon's new thing, isn't it? And that Alba, I know, is used as a tag name. It's like almost a dog whistle for really strong nationalism on Scottish nationalists. If they have Alba in the name on Twitter and things like that,
really?
That's usually like the full Braveheart, and can be a little bit.
They're even stupider.
Well, I mean, some of them are more in what you might call the white nationalist territory. Now, I'm not saying that's what Salmond is doing at all, but there's a kind of, when nationalism, when it is given its full throttle, it becomes quite unpleasant quite quickly. It's odd because Scottish nationalism thinks of itself as being more liberal than Westminster, doesn't it?
And Sturgeon's playing a difficult game because she's got to appease those people all the time as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, where's she up to with the Supreme Court now? I don't know if you followed any of that, but she took the case to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Obviously hoping they're going to say no. It's a bit like asking the headmaster if you can have a fight with someone who's bigger than you. You really want him to say no, but you can say, well, I was up for it, you see.
But there's a Scottish journalist called Stephen Daisley, who I follow, who writes for The Spectator and one or two other magazines, who's saying that Scotland has now essentially got its own foreign policy and has, they're trying to sort of create a de facto devolution already, essentially,
Yes.
I think this is problematic. I think actually it's going to be probably more so than what is a woman. I think actually this will be one of the areas.
Do you think so?
Well, I know. I mean,
take over from woman.
What is a Scotsman?
It's that big.
It's only if the Prime Minister, whoever that may be, and even Boris Johnson today made a joke about whether he's going to go or not, it will actually allow it, because I don't think there is something in the law
No, they won't allow it.
Yeah.
But they're going to absolutely push. They're going to
They're going to keep on pushing, but as I said here, any decision to defy the will of the Scottish people...
That's them coming now. Did you hear that bang? They're charging in here.
Cannot be allowed to stand. Well, they made their decision. That was the once in a generation. It's done. The generational thing.
Accusations back and forth. Our last story before the break. Doubling down continues between Her Majesty's Armed Services and the Panorama squad, Josh.
Yeah, so Panorama had a programme. It was about, they supposedly uncovered 54 suspicious killings by an SAS unit between 2010 and 11. And the ministry has basically come and said that they're failing to do the sort of due diligence here, because they've actually, some of these crimes have been investigated twice and they've been found wanting. There wasn't lack of evidence. So the Armed Forces Minister saying, look, give us, if you've got new evidence, we'll check it out. But this stuff has been investigated seemingly quite thoroughly. I mean, it's hard to do that much. They're talking about how it didn't meet the evidential threshold, essentially, because I imagine...
It would be kind of embarrassing if the SAS left that much evidence to pass. That'd be more embarrassing than the crime they're being accused of.
Killing in cold blood is one thing, but allowing Panorama to follow a trail...
Yeah, so the programme is called SAS Death Squads Exposed a British War Crime, ? Yeah. That's the big thing, the question mark.
Questions to which the answer is no. Part 1 has reached its natural ending. Fear not, for coming up in Part 2, we will be discussing Tim Westwood, Mo Farah and the Duchess of Cornwall. I know which one I'd back in hand-to-hand combat there. See you in a couple of minutes.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV. On radio.
On digital. Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We are not part of the establishment. We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today. I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked. Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GBNews.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Where would you like to go?
Just take me to the studio, please, Matt. You know where you're going. I've got a show to do. Friday Night Feast on GB News, 7 p.m. And it's like nothing you've ever seen before. We take a different angle on the week's biggest news stories. The viewers and listeners set me some absolutely mad challenges to do. We tried to rehome a rescue dog. And yes, there's some other wacky stuff in there as well. I feel like I could take on the world. Well, that's that. Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christie's, every Friday, 7 till 9 p.m. on GB News. Be there.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Simon Evans, Josh Howie and Kerry Marks. Well, I am afraid we've had to drop one story for time and we are not able to explore the humiliation of the euro at the hands of the dollar. I'm disappointed by that, but never mind, we'll move on. An unthinkable scenario now, Josh, as former BBC disc jockey is accused of sexual shenanigans, abusing position to access underage sex.
Yeah, so if anybody here is familiar with the sounds of like brop, brop, brop and then you used to be a big fan of Tim Westwood.
Yeah.
And he's been accused. Now, there was a report. I'm getting all the fun stories tonight. The Guardian did a report about, I think 7 people came forward a few months ago, maybe, and basically talked about how he sexually exploited them.
He's become a one-man Me Too locus.
Since that report came out, a whole other bunch of women have come forward, one of them being 14 at the time, and they're saying that he was in his 30s. So, he's continually denying this. She's saying that this is in the early 90s. This is in The Guardian, and they really go all out, and they sort of do these kind of first-hand interviews with these new women who've come forward. It's pretty grim reading.
And it sounds pretty plausible to you?
I think some of them, look, he's sleeping with a 14-year-old and all of this stuff. Some of them, they get a little bit more like, he kissed me. I mean, that's not to say that that's okay, but the level of crime seems to change, and certainly by utilising his power, his age, his connections and stuff like that, as opposed to outright rape. These are two different things.
What do you think, Kerry?
I didn't know Tim Westwood, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. Never trust hip-hop, frankly.
I don't trust any of these people.
This would not happen with Ken Bruce, that's all I'm saying. You just won't get it. It would have happened by now, and I'm comfortable with asserting that. Thursday's Telegraph now, and claims that Mo Farah was actually trafficked into the UK as a young boy, or to be investigated by the Met, Kerry.
It's another horrible abuse of children story, but with a happy ending this time.
Yes,
but we're now dealing with an adult who it's worked out for. Oh, no, it didn't work out for him. It's not as in, don't do it yourself. Don't get trafficked because everything's going to be great. The Met Police have launched an investigation into claims Mo Farah was trafficked into the UK, which is unfortunate because the traffic's terrible. A couple accused of forcing the Olympic champion into domestic servitude, and they're likely to be questioned by police. So far, one of them has been questioned, Mukhtar Farah, and his wife, and he's currently in Somalia. He told the Telegraph, "I am not ready for an interview. Maybe next time. I'm not feeling well." He's obviously got a cold and not in the mood to talk about raising an abducted child, because he's sniffling a little bit right now.
He might be on my diet.
Yeah,
I'm feeling very weak. I certainly wouldn't want to do an interview.
Is it? But he's accused of having sold young. We'll call it
he raised the young Samo. Sorry, I'm just realizing how silly that sounds. He should have realised when his name was Samo. That was already going. That's a bit of a clue, isn't it?
But he got cash for him? Did he? Is that the idea?
There was a woman who got cash for him. I believe she got cash for him, and she sold him. And then he came out. I believe he came out to a teacher who then looked into the matter, and overall, it's awful that happened, but it's one of those rags to riches sort of success, low point to success. No matter how bad things are, no matter how impossible the conditions, you can change it if you can run as one of the fastest people in the world.
Exactly. I mean, the reality is that 2012, you know, that extraordinary haul of gold medals at 2012, Farah was crucially in the core of that. That wouldn't have been such a triumpth without that.
No, not at all.
We should probably be grateful to this fella, even though he's, you know,
well,
transgressed, you know. Yeah.
Well, the guy, yeah.
I think so.
What is
this is a very strange morality we've stepped into here. It can work out.
Historical reality.
But this, a relative of Nimco Farah, who is the woman involved, he said he's actually saying it's not true that Samoa was trafficked. He added, in Somaliland, there's nothing called trafficking or child abuse or stuff like that. Maybe that's the problem.
There's no such crime.
Yeah,
so it's okay.
We don't call it. We don't have a name for it, so it didn't happen. Or whatever.
Well, it works for me. Josh, highly dubious claims now made in The Guardian that MI5 needs more funds to tackle right-wing terror threat.
Right-wing terror threat, yes. Well, they're saying up to a fifth of their work is taken up with right-wing cases.
Oh, up to a fifth of it?
Okay. That's what they're saying, yeah. And that's not allowing them to focus on the other stuff.
The other four-fifths.
The other four-fifths, yes.
Yeah.
Very good at maths here.
Right.
It doesn't really make clear who was actually doing the stuff before, because there have been, like, right-wing terror threat stuff. What's interesting is they're saying that they need more money. At the same time, the head of MI5, Ken McCallum, is also saying, he told the committee that actually they don't need to hire more people because they're doing this planned joint MI5 police counter-terrorism thing together, and then at that point they're going to be able to make the savings. So I don't really understand. They're asking for more money. They're not asking for more money.
Sounds to me like The Guardian have taken the opportunity to make out like right-wing terror is
well,
that's what's going on, isn't it?
And some of these things here are like a man was jailed in 2018 for possession of a banned CS gas canister. Right, I'm sure the guy was a nasty guy. I'm sure he had evil thoughts.
Tear gas.
But I mean,
not a dirty bomb, is it? I think we take those to Glastonbury, didn't we?
Yeah, and drunk them. Yeah. The MI5 should go on strike, shouldn't they? And that would have really effective strike. Has that happened?
I think that did happen once. Yeah. I mean, I think GCHQ wasn't that? I'm pretty sure there was a strike there.
There goes me making jokes about that possibility.
I know. It's like Junior's thing about black F1 drivers. Anyway. Thursday's Guardian now, Kerry. This sounds like this might come from one of our old stamping grounds, the Glee Comedy Club.
It is around there, isn't it? The gay area of Birmingham. Tensions feared after Birmingham approves block of flats near gay club. Activists and councillors are concerned about conflicts over noise levels arising between new residents and the club. So basically, the complaint is about the block of flats, which is this is already a complete change.
It's the other way around.
It's always been the other way around. It's always been the complaint about the gay club, and now they're going, we don't want a block of flats next to us. They're going to start complaining about us. Yeah.
Stonewall can just rule everything.
They're warning about rising tensions, noise mitigation provision plans. 1.3 million will be set aside to help the club reduce noise with measures such as an acoustically treated smoking area. Because the smoking area is obviously... Have you ever listened to people smoking? Once you get enough people doing the puffing and so on, and they'll be complaining about the puffs, and that's a word they're going to have to use very carefully in this situation.
I like the rising tensions. I think they should put on relax.
I'd also just like to point out, Birmingham Labour's LGBT plus officer is called Lauren Rainbow.
No.
Yeah, that can't be true.
No, really?
That's what it says here. Lauren Rainbow.
Lauren, amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know, people often are affected by their names according to a study done by
Josh GBNews.
Dr. Lazy Science. Yeah.
Thursday's Times now. Camilla has made the very mildest of jests about gender and has made the news, Josh.
Yeah, Camilla is the latest TERF to come out there. So she said, ladies and gentlemen...
It's not tough, is it? It's not that. It's not just from one comment.
She is. Yeah. That's it.
She's made a joke.
Hey, mate.
A gentle joke about the Times and the discussion.
If you're on Twitter, that's enough for her to be cancelled.
You're one side or the other now. There's no one word.
She's made a joke. The death threats, the rape threats will incoming right now, coming all the way over from the trans activists. Ladies and gentlemen,
no escape,
she said, if I'm allowed to call you that.
Yeah. She might have meant the gentleman.
Oh, well,
She might be starting a whole new thing that's going to be even more of a problem.
It's quite interesting because this is in the Times, and then they said they start going about the average age of all the guests, which is Sir Derek Jacobi, 83, and Sir Tom Courtenay, 85, whatever, was well past retirement age. The answer is undoubtedly yes. I think that's very ableist. I think that there's a bunch of octogenarians out there who are very much non-binary.
Well, Derek Jacobi.
You don't know that.
They, them. I'm just saying, like, just to say that all of I find this incredibly offensive.
This is a lunch thrown by...
They might identify as young people.
Oh, yeah.
This is a lunch thrown by the oldie, though, right?
This is by her oldie celebrating the 75th birthday.
She
looks
made a
pretty
joke.
good. I think she made a
tiny joke.
She made a little joke there.
Weenie little joke.
Oh, it's enough for the Times.
A harmless joke that wasn't political.
It is political. Of course it is political.
Gently.
OK, that is it for part 2. That flew past, didn't it? Coming up, we have Trump revealing his inner desires towards Elon Musk. We have why kids make terrible Buddhists and tireless Welsh vans hurtling down the motorway. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV.
On radio.
On digital. Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We are not part of the establishment. We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Where would you like to go?
Just take me to the studio, please, mate. You know where you're going. I've got a show to do. Friday Night Feast on GB News, 7 p.m. And it's like nothing you've ever seen before. We take a different angle on the week's biggest news stories. The viewers and listeners set me some absolutely mad challenges to do. We tried to rehome a rescue dog. And yes, there's some other wacky stuff in there as well. I feel like I could take on the world. Well, that's that. Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christie's, every Friday, 7 till 9 p.m. on GB News. Be there.
And welcome back to Headliners with me, Simon Evans. We have Josh Howie and Kerry Marks here this evening. Kerry, two bull elephants of a certain age are charging at each other once again, Trump and Musk.
Yes, they're head-to-head on insults. And Musk said that that Trump was too old to run for office. Trump was not having any of it. And he said he could have had Elon Musk on his knees begging him, which is a really odd insult because you're just admitting what an awful person you are to want to totally humiliate someone anyway. Elon Musk came to the White House asking me to, well, he says he asked for subsidised projects, electric cars and drive long, how lucky he was. Mr. Trump also made reference to the legal issue going on with Musk, that he was going to buy Twitter.
Yeah.
And then he's stepped out of that now.
I assume that's annoyed Trump because Trump wanted to get back on Twitter, and that would have been one of the...
Yes, I suppose so.
And lifted the ban. Yeah.
And Musk said he was going to clean up Twitter, which is just kind of hilarious anyway. It's like saying you're going to give hell a paint job.
Yeah.
You know, do what you like, keep it red.
But supposedly it's not about him buying Twitter. It's because he's saying that he broke the stock purchase barrier without reporting it. So he bought like $15 million of shares.
That's right, yes.
Trump is saying that.
Trump is
saying that. And that's supposedly against the law. Right. To which Musk tweeted back, LMAOOO, shorthand for laughing my arse off, except for the fact that
It's
there's...
not.
Ass.
It's
Ass.
ass.
Sorry, ass.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course.
You can't say arse on this programme.
Sorry.
Ass you can
Ass
say
off,
whatever you like.
but I don't know what the other O's are for.
It's
LM.
ass off.
Is that really it?
Yeah, that's right, really off. It's so far off.
Wow,
Echoing,
so your ass
am, I
is
down,
really gone.
am I not down with the 51-year-olds?
That's your ass in a different room. I was wondering whether when he's got a court case with Twitter, I'd love to be in like Twitter language. You know, Twitter will say, he'll say, I'm not going to buy the company anymore, and Twitter will go, let us fix that for you.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of let us fix that for you. I am going to buy the company anymore. Is this you? Lol, you've been ratioed.
Thursday's Mail next. Quasi-Buddhist meditation techniques prove surprisingly ineffective for school children. Josh?
Yeah, so the gist of the story is, I don't know if people know what mindfulness is. It's essentially meditation or being aware of the present and breathing techniques and whatnot. They have been proved to actually work, and they've actually been in these schools. And this was a massive study of a whole bunch of schools, 28,000 children, aged 11 to 14, 650 teachers from 100 schools. They found that the actual methods do work, but it actually ended up working for the teachers and for the atmosphere of the school. What it didn't work really for was the kids. And the reason why it didn't work was because they didn't do it.
They got bored.
That's what the whole article is.
They actually said they got bored.
They said, they basically did it once.
Frustrated father, Josh.
Yeah, they did it once. Well,
the reason it didn't work is because you didn't do it. Do you see?
That's simple.
I would have loved this at school. It would have been the first time a teacher had given me a piece of my own mind.
So I really believe in these. I think these methods are fantastic. They've said there's a study saying 29% of children aged 11 to 14 have significant difficulties and with mental health problems. I think the stuff can make a difference, but of course, if you're not willing to engage with it, well, of course it's not going to do anything.
It's very difficult for children, though, whose minds bounce around all over the place, aren't they? Very short attention spans, generally speaking. If you're an adult and you can be convinced of the benefits, if you will just apply this stuff and trust the process, then gradually everyone does start to see benefits from it. Children, it's very much harder at that point, isn't it, to get them to actually...
But I do try, and I've always tried to help my kids when they're sort of having like these ridiculous meltdowns or whatever, and just trying to teach them counting to 10, these kind of these techniques that you can use. And even though, of course, they can't really do it, even when they're like 5 or 6, they have an understanding of it at an early age, so that when they do obtain self-control, it does actually click for them.
I remember reading something, I can't remember what this book was. I think it might have been in one of the Jonathan Haidt's books about sort of mindfulness and happiness and techniques and so on for improving your state of mind. He said there had been a study done in a factory where they had increased the lighting, made the lighting more bright, and it had increased productivity. And then they, just to check to see whether it might be something else, they then lowered lighting, and that also increased productivity. What actually worked, it seems, was simply the fact that the workforce felt that the management were trying to make life better for them.
Oh, really?
They just felt
that's very
like
sweet.
They were being paid attention
Listen to that, GB News bosses. Hey, bosses out there.
That's what it takes.
The same thing's been said about homeopathy, hasn't it? One of the reasons why it does work is a doctor spends half an hour with you. That's what people want.
Instead of just Googling your symptoms and scrawling something on it.
And then ringing at 8 o'clock for an hour and being told that no one's really got time for you. It turns out people don't want that.
People want to be listened to. Talking of which, not an entirely meaningless seg into this next story. Thursday's Times. Dr. Jill Biden puts her foot in it by describing people in terms of their famous foodstuffs. This reminds me of the frogs. No, seriously, Kerry, it's a bit of a foot in mouth, isn't it?
The president's wife, the 71, I'll give the 71-year-old a break. She said the Hispanic community is as distinct as the bodegas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in Santiago, which has led to the National Association of Hispanic journalists reacting with, "We are not tacos." It's wonderful. Using breakfast tacos to try to demonstrate the uniqueness of Latinos in San Antonio demonstrates a lack of cultural knowledge, etc., etc. And then they said, if I'm a taco, she's a hot dog. How do you like that? They didn't say that. And they were so angry that they folded themselves around some black bean and sweet potato toppings.
Very nice. I like her press secretary said.
Come on.
That's great.
I'm working here.
It's good, man.
I'm giving it my all.
It's good. That's good. And people at home are laughing at that for sure.
Someone is.
But the press secretary said the First Lady apologises that her words conveyed anything but pure admiration and love for the Latino community, who are super yummy.
And she also said it's a real shame because I love tacos
Yum, yum, yum.
so much. I really love
very
tacos.
hungry, actually.
I like the fact that they didn't mind the other two. What were the other ones? The
bodegos.
Yeah.
Bodega is
Yeah, they didn't
a corner shop,
register.
isn't it? I would rather be like...
And the blossoms of Miami.
Convenience store. This next one is the Daily Record. And I have to say, as a BMW driver, Josh, this rather disturbs me.
Are you serious? You got a BMW?
I am. It's an old one, though. It's not about to be hit with a...
This is host money.
I love that step back there. It's just... it's not brand new. It's a few days old.
Yeah. So this is why you're not doing the circuit anymore. Yeah. Fair enough. So BMW, yes, they're going to about charge £15 a month subscription for pre-installed heated seats. So what they're going to do is they're going to basically load the car up with all of these features.
Yeah.
And then you can only access them through like software like Apple or Netflix or anything like that by paying these monthly subscriptions. One of them, though, this is the future. Yeah. I hope it's my future. I'd like to have a BMW that I could get angry about paying the subscription for. Yeah. But £10 a month for heated steering wheel. Did your BMW have a heated steering wheel?
No, I've never
What's the
felt
purpose
that
of a heated steering wheel?
I have not. No, I don't.
Cold
think
hands.
about that. Yeah. I mean, I can see what the purpose is.
Bad circulation. I've never had an issue with the temperature of my.
I remember Mercedes for a while. I think they may have walked this one back, but for a while they had engines that would email you when they had faults. So, or if your oil needed changing, instead of having a the dipstick, you would get an email from your car.
Well, they put it on the monitor on the front of the.
It feels like it's going really Ryanair of cars now. Isn't it? This is the future. Everything will have a price to it. You'll be driving along and you get. I'm sorry.
You want to use the.
You want to use your subscription for the brakes has just run out.
But what's great is when people are sort of selling it second hand. Is you can install all of that stuff, pay that month's subscription, sell it, and then be like,
cancel. Well, we now move on to a story in which it sounds like a man maybe didn't pay the subscription for his tyres.
Oh, this is just out there. A drunk van driver who travelled up to 10 miles on a motorway with 2 missing tyres, and he blamed, and it's fairly, I think it makes sense, he blamed COVID for his mind being cloudy. He'd also been drinking, which might be a clue. Right? He said he's only had 2 drinks, but that's...
You never mix COVID and alcohol.
Yeah, totally.
That can really make you drunk.
He was breathalyzed and he was twice the legal limit, so it's probably more than 2. And his lawyer claims he was unaware of the missing tyres.
Without tyres in the first
Well, he's saying that they sort of went during the journey and he was just trying to get to the next...
He just didn't notice.
...stop or something.
Oh, right, OK, yeah. So they just shredded up and left it gradually.
Well, that's what he's saying, but, but it's actually a little bit sad because he's a carpenter, self-employed, he's got a disabled wife, 4 kids.
You're saying he could have made himself some nice wooden tyres?
Well, he's been banned. I'm just saying. He's been banned now
drove
from
with no wheels.
Driving.
Come on.
Yeah, because he had COVID. That's not his fault.
He had 3 double COVID.
He had 3 COVID.
It's the new variation
A shot of monkeypox.
Yeah.
How are you meant to possibly drive home? It's terrible.
You now just walk up to a stranger and slap them and go, I've got COVID, I'm sorry about that.
COVID for everything.
Legitimising all kinds of misbehaviour. Only yesterday we had a story that the Welsh want to institute a 20-mile-per-hour universal speed limit across all their roads. I can't help thinking that they should probably concentrate on having 4 tyres per van.
Definitely, Yeah, it's a good starting point.
The bare minimum. OK, on to the Daily Star now. We have good old-fashioned Burmese prison camp methods being reinstated in Kent schools for insubordination, Josh.
Yeah, so a 13-year-old went to school with his shorts on because it's obviously been boiling this week, and they took him and they sort of put him in this room that they isolated him, and then his father picked him up, and then his father did the same thing yesterday. It's ridiculous. And I'm having this issue with my 13-year-old son who's going in now. They are allowing him to wear a short-sleeved shirt, but he's still having to take his blazer in every day. Really? They're not saying, leave your blazer at home. He's got all the books anyway. It's all very heavy. It's like... And now they're sort of saying... It turns out that the union says that when it gets to 27 degrees, then you should be able to, make these changes. And one school actually did something which is genius, is that the boys Because these schools are... And I understand, I'm very much for strict school uniforms, absolutely. But you still need exceptions, and certainly this is the case where you should have an exception. But a school, all the boys actually went in skirts because that legally met their requirement for school uniform. So it's now an all-girls school.
Did you ever wear a skirt?
I have tried on a skirt once or twice, and I love it.
I wore one to I remember very clearly a fancy dress party with like a, tarts and Vickers or whatever, one of those parties at uni, and I do remember thinking, this is really
It's a nice swishy feeling, isn't it?
It was a hot, warm, slightly clammy day. And,
but of course, men wear skirts in all parts of the world, certainly the hot part of the world, for exactly this reason.
There's a chap on Twitter, he's a bit of a, I don't know, I can't decide if he's serious or not. It's called Lindy Man. Have you heard of the idea of Lindy?
No.
Lindy is, I hope I can get it right, Lindy is basically, I think Taleb, Nicholas Nassim Taleb, the sort of philosopher and thinker and Black Swan and all those books and the Anti-Fragile.
I've bought those and never read them.
He created this proposition that if the longer lasting something has been a tradition, it's a fairly straightforward, obvious idea. If something stood the test of time, it's probably got there's probably something that is worth investigating.
Yeah.
And one of his examples of this, which this other chap says, men in around the Mediterranean area have always worn like togas or saris or whatever. And in particular, when you get home in the evening, it's a big... like we get home in the evening, if you have a proper job, you have a couple of strong martinis, right, or whatever, to draw a line under the day. They take their trousers off. You wear trousers when you're as a gesture of formality, and then you wear a swishy. And I'm thinking as time goes on, I might just start doing that. I just don't see why I
think you'd look great.
Well, the thing about that school was that the kids started doing it. It wasn't like the school made it a rule.
No, the kids did.
So they did. They just said, well, we're doing this. And this boy here who's making the complaint is saying that in another school they did that, but you should just do it.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the problem. Don't say,
and
hey, this worked elsewhere.
Leave the blazers behind it. It has to be done en masse, though, doesn't it? I think that's the thing. If the kids get together and say, listen, this is crazy...
Well, this school is saying, if the heat wave continues next week, we're going to look into it. Why are you waiting till next week? You knew this was coming this week. Do it then.
Yeah. No kids work. I mean, it's like Keep It Cool for comedy. You never get laughs if the room's too hot, right?
No, it makes a massive difference, and they don't even know why, but...
Guardian once more now, and a change from the usual complaints that no one reads books anymore. Turns out we can't read maps either. Carey.
We can't read maps anymore.
Or our own notes.
A study by the Ordnance Survey to coincide with the National Map Reading Week. Yeah, well, of course it would coincide with something. Turns out that they found 77% of respondents couldn't recognise the most basic OS map symbols, such as viewpoints and pubs. The latter is marked with a classic pint jug glass. And here's the thing, with a handle. And they thought, so could the ignorance be down to the switch to straight beer glasses? And the answer to that is no. No, that's not the reason.
Well, it's obviously sat-nav, I suppose, isn't it? Mainly it's sat-nav.
But they're saying 50...
But if you can't recognise a pub from a beer glass, I can only do the straight ones, mate. Don't go anywhere near the map. In fact, don't leave the house.
And that church has got a round spire.
But 2,000 adults are surveyed. More than half, 56%, admitted they got lost because they couldn't use a map or follow a phone app correctly. How do you not follow a phone app? The whole point of phone apps are they do it for you. That's surely the point.
You wear a T-shirt that says "I am here" with an arrow, and then you wait and look for it on your phone.
I used to collect Ordnance Survey maps.
10%? Did you?
When I was 12 years old, that was my hobby.
Shoplifting, that's called.
Yeah.
Did you read it? Now you moved on to board games. It's quite.
And now I've got this, obviously, this mental health issue.
Anyway, let them get lost. That's all I'm saying to those people. Is they deserve to be lost. May they never find their way out.
The front page of Thursday's Daily Stars. This is one that actually speaks to me. Dogs really are a man's best friend. Josh, this is the pickup artiste.
That's it. If you're a bloke, go to the pub. If you have a dog, you're more likely to pull. And this person
really?
This says here that they're sex magnets.
What?
And not only that, and this is what...
Look at that dog that they've got on the screen. Obviously, you're going to...
Exactly.
Even I'm up for it.
But, check this out. Golden retrievers, German Shepherds, Labradors are found to be the best wingsmen, and the smaller mutts, like Chihuahuas, are the worst. So I'm going to go kill my dog.
Have you got a little one?
Useless to you.
Have you?
No, but that is quite interesting, and I wonder if there's some correlation between dog size and other appendages size, like...
a man looks pathetic with a little dog. That's all it is.
Oh, you think that's what it is?
I think that's what it is.
Emasculating.
I just can't...
I'm there in my skirt. I've got my dog. It's after
You're
work.
telling me
Wear
they've
a
actually...
skirt with a golden retriever, and I think you'd
You think
look
they-
fine.
oh,
yeah.
okay, interesting.
They've actually done a study and realised that men with dogs get female attention. Is this what's going on here?
Yeah, and you're...
Especially
It
when in
is
the pub.
warranted as study.
Yeah.
I think we've all known this.
This is a vital study.
I didn't.
We should
we
have
have
a
a dog
section
now.
on this show just for where scientists discover the obvious that we've always known.
It is true that we have now a very gorgeous white golden retriever, and the amount of attention he attracts just taking walking through the park, let alone in the pub.
It's because women look at you and they go, "There's a man who'll pick up someone else's poo."
Yeah.
How much will you do for us?
Does your wife get jealous? Does she let you go out with the dog alone?
I have occasionally.
Is that powerful?
Don't take the dog with you to the pub. I know what you're doing, Simon.
The ultimate betrayal, involving the family retriever in it.
This is all nonsense.
I'm off to see
I'm getting
Kenny
a dog.
Morden. Oh no! A heartwarming story to wind up the show, as you imagine now, with a mask actually working, but on a burning cat. Is that
A
correct?
cat's life has been saved by a new oxygen mask for cats. A cat rescued from a house fire became the first to be revived using a specialist pet oxygen mask, which I want to make clear. It was an oxygen mask for pets. It's not someone who's got a pet oxygen mask. He
Like a pet rock.
feeds us an oxygen mask and keeps it happy and takes it for walks and stuff. It's going to work on dogs and cats. And so the cat that they saved obviously has 10 lives and got an extra life now, which is
He
very
looks
nice
like
for
he's
it.
firing that cat, doesn't he? Looking
You seen
like
a
he's
picture
looking
there?
down the sights.
Oh, yeah, it looks pretty violent. You know, there was a cat stuck up a tree locally ages ago, and we spoke to a fireman who said that you can't call out the fire brigade for getting a cat down a tree anymore. They used to do
Right,
that.
yeah.
They were famous for it,
Yeah.
getting a cat down a tree. And then
Poor business.
the fireman said, we'll only come out for fires now. So if that happens,
gotta
you
light-
set the tree on fire.
Yeah. Flaming dart into a cat. Well, I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. That's a lot of technological equipment.
Yes.
A lot of people, you know.
Well, they're saying that that pets have like a massive psychological impact. People have lost their homes, they want to save the pets.
Oh, I see.
And all
yeah.
that is the sort of idea of it. Of course, you don't want to risk human life
No.
to save a pet.
A
But
bit more like Harriet's hamster, isn't it? When the hamster dies and you just go down the pet shop and get a new one. They just don't know any different.
It would be horrible if they left someone inside to go and get the hamster. I love hamsters.
Finally, we leave you with some tips on how to sleep in this heat wave. This is us.
yes, so here we go. Bananas, chest freezers, and even onions. Supposedly in India, I didn't know this. Have you ever heard about this? They cut an onion in half and then they put the juice all over their
Not
body.
before a date.
Not before a date.
Or garlic.
Well,
That means to keep off mosquitoes. Can't it just be to keep...
That's what it says. It keeps your skin cooler.
Yeah.
Another thing, put socks in the fridge or freezer. That's another way.
just
you could
don't wear them at all, possibly.
Oh yeah, that might. I hadn't actually thought of that.
It says they never came up with that idea.
That's a pretty good one. But it's interesting that they are looking to these tactics that are used in these like very hot countries like rural India, ancient Egypt. Because at night it actually can be quite dangerous because it increases your risk of strokes, heart attacks, because of course your body starts pumping the blood to your skin basically to keep you cool in order to sleep. So there
are breathing mechanisms that cool you down, apparently, aren't there as well? I wouldn't be able to explain them. There is like yogic breathing that will.
Oh, really?
I think it's maybe like go or something. I don't know. You're a little bit harder. I don't know about you. I have to sleep face down now, otherwise I snore and wake myself up.
No, I don't.
Yes.
And that's
I'm
not
not
good.
you.
That's not good when it's hot. That's fine in the winter, but that is actually I need like an AirTex pillow or something. I don't know. There's one for me there, or maybe like a shuttlecock type.
when you wake yourself up snoring,
It's a horrible thing,
very
isn't it?
embarrassing.
Yeah. Like somebody's been trying to suffocate
When you do it like on the train, which I have done in many
that's
times.
really bad.
That's not good.
And dribbling's even worse. But I've been getting so hot at night, I've been having mirages instead of dreams recently. It's that bad right now. But, yeah. And the other thing is
that might be a puddle on the floor.
People could also watch this show.
Yeah,
that might
of course.
help.
That helps.
Calm them down.
With your lovely
Is that all we do?
greys and
Yeah.
blues. That's all we have time for this evening. My thanks to my guests, Josh Howie and Kerry Marks. I've been Simon Evans. Join me tomorrow at the same time. I'll be joined by the wonderful Sajila Kershi and Leo Kerr. See you there.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
On Mark Dolan Tonight, we have a simple plan, which is to inform, stimulate, and entertain in equal measure. It's all about getting your opinions on the national television airwaves. I love my viewer emails, mark@gbnews.uk. So do join me from 9 p.m. to midnight every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for big guests, big opinions, and a big presenter. 6'5", don't you know? See you then on GB News.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV.
On radio.
On digital. Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We are not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions, and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.